Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. I just want to respond to the criticism I get when I'm critical of Sweden's coronavirus strategy. I know I've talked about this to death, and I really apologize. It's just something that really interests me. I get a lot of the same talking points over and over again of what people will say and how they'll respond. So I want to address those because it's probably better than me trying to write them down. And here's the 2 points. The one is that I've been hearing and seeing online and everybody talking about is the average yearly death rate is lower this year than it has been the last 5 years. I see this one a lot. I see it on my comments a lot. But what they don't tell you about that chart or study is, it's November now, and then we have December. November and December tend to be the most deadly months of the year as far as people dying of just regular things, plus you have the regular flu. That's not factored into this chart. And, it's a shame, but this will be the most deadly year we've had for a while. There's just no way around it. We're in the middle of a second wave. So yes, charts can sometimes be misleading. And I have an issue with that chart because it makes it seem like COVID-19 isn't a big deal when it is. And I see it a little bit as misinformation, honestly. The second one that I hear all the time is that herd immunity was never the strategy. This one bothers me so much. And I'll tell you why. First, Sweden's strategy was trying to protect the old and vulnerable by asking them to stay at home, keeping society open, keeping schools open, keeping bars and restaurants open, and encouraging people to socially distance, but that they can still go about their day as normal as long as they socially distance, and they don't need to wear masks because masks don't work.
We don't see a reason to introduce more measures, especially not measures where the quality of evidence is very low. I mean, any kind of review you read about face mask, everybody agrees that the evidence is very weak for the effect. And if there is effect, it's probably not very big.
So my question is, what would you call that strategy? What name would you give it? One interesting thing is that the people that are telling me that herd immunity was never strategy were the same people that were writing on my wall how wrong I was in the summer about the whole strategy, and their whole reason for it was look at the immunity, look at the lack of deaths.
And that, of course, in the long run would give an effect. That effect is, of course, amplified, but that the level of immunity in the population is slowly increasing. We can see that in our measures. So it's a combination of the two. We try to slow down the spread of the virus as much as anybody else in any other country. And we managed to slow it down just as much as most other countries. It took slightly longer than a few other countries. On the other hand, we don't have the resurgence of the disease that those countries have.
But I've had a lot of people ask me in the comments of if my opinions have changed at all, and I have thought about it a lot. I'm looking at the scientific data, and I don't think based on the 7.3% that you can really say that it has been a success in Sweden. It has been a success in the sense that the medical system has not been overrun, but this herd immunity thing doesn't look like it's panning out the way it should. There hasn't been really much evidence to suggest that, there's really no evidence to suggest that you do build up an immunity to COVID-19. So it's just like when it worked in their favor, then they had no issues. But when it didn't work for them and now the math is wrong, now it's suddenly this changing talking point. And in my opinion, this is a talking point. This is spin, right? When the negative press came out about herd immunity, you don't want to then say it's herd immunity. You want to backtrack on it, especially when you have people in your own society that might be concerned about it. Because it does not have a nice name to it. It does sound like you're sacrificing a group of people. So I think it is more to do with it being herd immunity and just switching the name of it. I mean, FHM and Anders have leaked emails where they were discussing herd immunity back and forth. Now, they claim they were just talking about the possibility of it, but they were talking about leaving schools open and how much spread could they have. And, the goal wasn't to just let the virus, I think, completely run wild, but I think it was this idea that they could control it. And the thing that's bothered me since the beginning, and the reason I was so critical, is because I don't understand. I think it's a false sense of security to think that you can let a virus spread, but you can control who gets sick and who doesn't get sick. And one thing we never think about is the outlier. Let's say 95% of the people follow the rules. It only takes that 5% or that 10% that don't to let the virus run wild. So to me, I didn't see how you could protect old people but leave schools open and leave everything else open and let the virus spread but just not get those people sick. It sounds good on paper, but it's not a possibility. I think you can either control the spread altogether or you don't, and you let it go and run wild. So those, I believe, are the only two options. And the thing is, even Anders and the others were talking about immunity just 2 months ago. They were talking about how they didn't think Sweden was going to get hit with the second wave. Everything on this strategy, in my personal opinion, was banking on the fact that they wouldn't get hit hard the second time. That was a big risk. We see now as deaths going up as well that wasn't the possibility. It's not possible, and it's a bummer. Now we're moving into stronger measures. Like, I don't know how to say it to you. The strategy didn't work. And there's plenty of people that are Trump voters back home who love to talk about how it worked in Sweden. And that bothers me because our situation in the United States is really, really bad. And I don't like Sweden being used to model to those people who don't want to wear masks and other things. So that's one reason why I get a little bit upset and annoyed about everything. So I don't mean to come across in a negative or a wrong way, but it's clear to me at this point, maybe the strategy worked for a time or a while, but I would even make the argument that it would have been better to try to slow down the spread more in the first wave, because it would have given us time to learn more treatments over time. Now COVID-19 treatments are much better than they were months ago. I don't like that we're saying that masks don't work. I think that's irresponsible. I think there's enough evidence that shows that masks work. And I think we're going to see a tale of two sides. We've had people love Anders, and then I think people are going to start seeing the truth now. And I believe that the government it's okay to be critical of them. This was an interesting decision, and now it hasn't worked. What will they do? Or will they admit to it? Will they put stronger measures in? Well, will there be any fallout from this? I believe there will be fallout, one way or another, I guess. I don't think Anders is going to be the public figure moving forward after November, December. And yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize or whatever. I just wanted to respond to the criticism because I hear these 2 points and it's like, guys, it's just a talking point. They're just changing the name of it. That's all it is. Look at what herd immunity is and compare it to what Sweden did, and you're not going to see any difference. Sorry. All right, guys. See you in the next video. Hej då.